Hi there. This is Catherine Ramirez with Advertise, and welcome to our first educational webinar, Why You Should Advertise. So first off, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am the owner and founder of Advertise, founded last year in 2014. I have over 25 years of advertising and sales experience, primarily in broadcast television. I have been in 5 different markets: Milwaukee, Omaha, Madison, Albuquerque, and Knoxville. I've represented various different TV affiliates, and I have represented number one TV stations in the market, as well as the bottom of the barrel. I launched my career at Robertson Russell Advertising Agency in Knoxville, Tennessee. I was an account. I started off as an account assistant and moved my way up to account manager. What we did was manage dealer group advertising throughout the USA. Had fun with that, really loved it, and that's really what got me into advertising and marketing. As far as my personal information, um, after high school, I did go into the United States Air Force for 4 years. That's actually what paid for my education. I got a bachelor's in business management and a minor in marketing and advertising from the University of Central Missouri. Sorry. And I have been a part of the NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters, and I received a management development certificate from Northwestern University, which was a really fun program to participate in. And in my free time, in case anybody wants to know, I enjoy the summers in Wisconsin, wine tastings, and boating. And now that that's coming to an end, we are here and focus on why you should advertise. So, my story, let me tell you a little bit about my story and how and why I created my platform. Advertise was created because, again, I have over 25 years of broadcast sales experience. And what I was finding, especially in the last 3 to 4 years, is you meet with small to mid sized businesses every day. You know, hundreds of them, and you're going through a process. You go through the needs analysis and finding out exactly what their business is about, what they're trying to achieve, and everything that you can about their business. And then you go back and get some really strong market research to show them who their best customer looks like in the marketplace. And then finally, you show the recommendation of, hey, between the first meeting and the second meeting, this is the program, this is the plan that I am recommending to put you in place in order to achieve the results you need. Well, I'm going to be honest and very frank. A lot of times in the back of your head, you're thinking, this is not a good fit for this client. And there are other programs and platforms that are actually a better fit. But because you're only selling the one platform, you're forced to, deliver this campaign to this advertiser. And so I like to see myself pretty much like, and I use the example like the FBI uses an expert criminal to learn how they think. And so you can think of that same philosophy with me. With the 25 years of experience, and I've seen everything and heard everything. I've met all sorts of business and categories that you can't even imagine. And I mean, if I go into a meeting, I can almost tell them what the problem is just because I have been doing this for so long. But I'm your advocate. I'm here to help you. I'm here to fight the fight, and I'm here to help you understand and learn and empower you to take control of your marketing and advertising. So, who is Advertise? We are a resource for you. It's a complete resource. So, at the end of the day, if you were to join and become a member and never bought anything through the website, I'm perfectly fine with that. Um, my whole philosophy, my perception, the whole platform was built to be a resource to educate, to empower small to mid-sized business owners. This When you go onto the website and you log on and create an account, you have the ability to look at all the advertising that is available to you in your marketplace, and you can compare apples to apples. You can make a good business decision. You can align with something that makes sense for the campaign that you're about to run. And so it's no longer doing mainstream media to be effective. Now you have to be very strategic because there are so many options, and it's about knowing, what are your options that are out there? What are you trying to achieve? And what is going to get the best results for your dollars? And that's why I say it's the biggest bang for your buck, because you want to use a very targeted platform in order to achieve the results that you need. So, my agenda today is for you to take away three things today. Even if you just took away one, I'd be thrilled to death. But there are three things that I'm going to touch base on today: why you should advertise, advertising does work, and managing your expectation and what to expect. So, let me just start with some advertising statistics for you. 23 million small businesses in America account for 54% of all US sales. That is a pretty big number. And it's a big deal because we we should be able to this is a lot of momentum and power here. More than half of small business owners do not have a website. That's 52%, or even measure the results of their marketing plan, which is 56%, which is astounding to me, because when you put that money into, the it's a huge investment into your marketing and advertising, you should be able to measure it. You should be able to see and get a sense of what's going on and the results of it. I love the last fact: 71.1% of consumers say they remember the brand name of a promotional item they received within the past year. So, what this is actually saying, and translation for you guys out there, is that if you do some sort of marketing, advertising, anything that promotes your business or your name, anything that you do, 71% of consumers say they will remember you. And that's the consumer telling you that. So, why wouldn't you advertise? So, why should you advertise? Okay, so I came up with a few bullet points that will probably resonate with a few of you. The first one, of course, is top of mind awareness. And I'll use a great example, and it's probably a little extreme, but just put it in perspective. When you think of hamburgers, immediately people think of McDonald's. And so when you think of coffee, you think of Starbucks. And, I'm not saying to spend the kind of money that these corporations do to create that top of mind awareness. But what I am saying is, when you're consistent and you put yourself out there, that's what you start to do, is you create that top of mind awareness. You create that branding. The second one is create demand. So this is a great one. Okay. And I say this all the time to businesses, especially those that don't get a lot of traffic every day. A lot of times people don't even know they need your service, product, or service until you remind them. So you have to create demand. And so creating demand is helping build your business. It's helping, you know, getting rid of inventory. So again, just keep in mind that, a majority of people out there, your consumers, don't even know that they need your product or service until you tell them that they need it. The third one is a great one, and that applies to anybody: credibility. If you advertise, you're building credibility. You're saying you're not a fly by the night business. You're sustaining, you're here, you're not going anywhere, and you are credible. So, if anything, at the end of the day, you want to build some credibility so people can see you as a value. The fourth one is grow market share. I like to use this one, especially for companies who have been in business 30, 40, 50 years. A lot of times those businesses have the same business over and over, and so they have sustained very well, but their growth is not very big because they are comfortable. They get, kind of fat and happy with where they're at. And so in order to grow market share, you have to advertise, because there are markets, there's um, pockets of opportunities out there that you may not be tapping into. And the most popular one that I can just use an example right now is, the Hispanic population. That's the fastest growing population in every marketplace. And so, my question to you: are you tapping into that marketplace? Then the next bullet is stand out from your competition. If we use the example of like plumbers, um, not every one of those plumbers are advertising. So what are you going to do to stand out so that when someone does think about plumbing, that you stand out for your competition, and when they want to call, they think, "Oh, you know what? Let's call ABC Plumbing because I've heard or I know about them." You're creating that top of mind awareness, and you're standing out from your competition. The next one is be on the shopping list. I love this one, and the best example I can use for this is automotive. Automotive is very aggressive in advertising, and so they should be because you don't know when you might need a car. You could go in a wreck tomorrow, and now you need a new vehicle. But every automotive dealer out there is really pounding the pavement and really hitting the marketplace because they do want to keep themselves on the shopping list. So it doesn't matter like if you spend a ton of money, all you have to do is have some sort of presence so that when someone is thinking or they are in that position where they have to shop, you're on that list and you're one of three, four, five, whoever it is that they're going to shop. Now you have that opportunity to earn their business. It doesn't matter now how much you spend on advertising or what have you. Now it's your reputation, who you are, what you have to offer, and what sets yourself apart internally. So always want to be on the shopping list. And then finally, of course, make your register ring. Everybody wants to make more money. And at the end of the day, advertising should make your register ring. Why you should advertise? I like to use some local examples. And again, I have hundreds of them. So if there's something in your category or someone you want to talk about, a brand or product, whatever, or a business category, I am happy to share any more stories with you. But how do you set yourself apart? The best campaigns offer more than just a rational benefit. They talk about their unique selling proposition. Well, what is a unique selling proposition? Which is more commonly known as USP or your unique selling point. Basically, it's what makes you different, what sets you apart from your competitors. And so things like the lowest price point or the fastest service or 30 minutes or less, all these you've heard through other, companies and businesses. And so, what is it about you? That makes you very unique and sets you apart from your competition. Every business should define that and understand that and know that because that's the thing that's going to really set yourself apart. And that's something you can hang your hat on. Um, so let me give you some examples, some really good examples, but not just of the USB of advertising. So the first one is the hunting and fishing. And so basically, I met with this client, I want to say about a year ago. And so they were really like exhausted. They were on their, as always, it seems like when I meet a lot of clients, they were on their last leg and they were in a situation where if this doesn't work, we're literally going to be closing the doors because I want to say that their output was about $10,000 a month just to maintain this facility. And so basically, what happened was they did just about everything you could imagine. They even hired two different advertising agencies at two different times. They spent upward of $250,000, and they were really, literally exhausted and dumbfounded and did not know, what was going on. Why wasn't anything working? And so going in and having several meetings with them and really diagnosing and finding out, what did you do? What was the message? What was going on? What were the platforms that were purchased? And really getting samples of everything that they did and really analyzing it. Well, there was some really great findings and stuff for you as business owners to learn from. First and foremost, okay, they were elite hunting and gaming facility. So they're considered where it's enclosed gaming. So if you have the money, you're definitely gonna go home with a prize. And that's the kind of facility it is. So it's not for your everyday hunter. So it's not real game. It's for your once a year hunter, wannabe hunter. Your lawyers, doctors, the people who really, they've never done it, and they want to try it, but they want to go home with a prize. The other element to them was they did glamping, which is like high-end camping. So they really wanted to do, focus on families with children, and they really wanted to capitalize on that and get, families and children that are like just want that high end 5-star camping experience. And when I say that, I mean enclosed tents with queen beds in it and tear down service and, a chef on site and what have you. And so what we found out was, first of all, the campaigns they had in the past, both messages were on one campaign. So whether it was print, radio, TV, what have you. Okay. So that is a big no no because, first of all, if you're showing glamping with hunting, my first instinct as a female is I'm not taking my children to go watch Bambi get killed and slaughtered. I'm not going to do that. So that was a first mistake. Okay. The second mistake was when they put these campaigns out there, they were really targeting the everyday hunter, the everyday Joe hunter. Okay. I know a few hunters, and when I talk about this business to them, they're insulted by it because it's not gaming. So they're completely insulting that um, uh, client base already, and that's not the client base they were targeting. So those were a couple things that we found that were wrong, and so we really changed everything up, created two different campaigns, and launched them in two different types of media so that they target the two very strategic audiences. Needless to say, we did the campaign and they ran it for 3 months and they got a huge response, more of a response than they ever got with spending the upwards of $250,000. So, my point is, advertising today is very, very strategic, and you've got to have people on your side and people that understand how to work with these dynamics. The next example is a restaurant, a very niche restaurant bar. It was a martini bar. And the reason I put number one there is they were approached by a radio station when they first opened. And the radio station said, we're number one and we're number one. And we work really well with restaurants. And, this is the commitment. They wanted an annual commitment of a year, and it was over $100,000. And so the restaurant bar, not knowing about marketing and advertising, and was really sold on this and said, okay, we'll do it, and really committed to the year. Well, that campaign finished and they did not get any return on their investment and they were really frustrated. And once again, when I met with this business, they were once again at the point where if this doesn't work, then we're going to have to close, our restaurant. And I was like, oh my God. And so after finding out, and again, several meetings and really diagnosing and trying to figure out what was going on and trying to analyze this, well, what I found to be was they were really targeting the happy hour. Business professional who is just leaving the capital or businesses around the capital, and they wanted that person to stop in for a martini, sit on their patio, and get a snack. Okay, they knew that these people, once they sampled them, would be back and order more and come back for dinner. Okay. And so, in diagnosing and coming up with a plan, basically what we did was we targeted, morning news and late at night. Um, and we didn't spend the money that the radio station had proposed. I mean, we really brought it back down because they didn't have very much money left at this point. But we did run a 3-month campaign. They launched the campaign. And, once again, and not very much money. And this was a weak TV station that we utilize. And they really saw the return on this. They actually saw traction. People told them, I saw your commercial. They came in, they were walking through the doors. And they were elated. They just loved it because they couldn't understand why didn't the radio work, and they spent so much money and they didn't spend nearly the dollars that they spend on this small campaign for 3 months, and it was very effective. They actually extended the campaign for the rest of the year. Of course, they did not close the doors, but they were thrilled to death, and they did get the return on their investment. The next example is a funeral home, and I love to share this because I know a lot of people can relate to this. This funeral home has been in business over 40 or 50 years. It was, family passed down to generations. And I put same old because they have been doing the same thing over and over since the business has been in business. So direct mail, and it worked for them. In the beginning, it was great and it was useful and it created the momentum that they wanted. But now they were in a position where it wasn't as effective. And so, once again, meeting with them and having several meetings and diagnosing and really trying to figure out who is your best customer? Who is that? Profile them. Tell me who they are. What do they look like? Give me a sense of who are they? And so after analyzing, giving them the research and really digging in and finding out about this business, you know, there was a platform that they could utilize that targeted baby boomers because that was their ideal client. And so what happened was they took off one direct mail and used that money to launch a 3-month TV campaign, as opposed to that one time for the direct mail. And so the it was very easy to come up with the creative because again, the business has been around for 40, 50 years. So it was very nostalgia. And you don't really have to sell funeral homes. All you have to sell is that they are sincere and they're trusting and they have a lot of empathy and they will really take care of your loved one. And I had a lot of testimonials because they are very well known, and the people that have utilized their service love them. So the campaign launched. It was a huge success for them. I don't even want to say the dollar amount that they spent because it was almost nothing, and it was a huge success for them. That needless to say, they extended their campaign for 2 years. They have since reduced their direct mail. They haven't completely removed it, which is okay because that's a comfort thing. But they're going in the right direction because now with the television they can get a brand new audience who have never seen them. Because after you do direct mail and same old for so many years over and over and over, you saturate yourself and you tend to become numb, or people become numb to seeing you. And so this was a great change and it was a great marketing mix for them. The final one is a creative show. This is a client I'm working with now. She was looking to a TV station to put a half-hour program that was a community involved where she could sell sponsors in it. And she actually approached the television station and asked for a quote for pricing. And so what happened was she probably divulged a little too much information and gave them, a little more than she should have, like her budget and things like that. And she was just being very honest and open. And so what happened was they gave her the proposal, and then a week later they called her and said, "Oh, that proposal's not available anymore. Now it's the price has gone up." And how interesting that the price went up to what her budget was. Okay, and so when I met with her, and this was after that fact, I said, "Hey, you know what? Why do you want that TV station?" And she just liked this TV station. That's why she was very passionate toward it, and she just liked it. And I said, you know what? There's two other TV stations just like that one that you could probably negotiate, and you probably can get those other two for half the price of what you're trying to get for that one. And I said, so you have power to really negotiate and use the two against each other, but to really get what you need and to bring your that budget down so that you can feel good and it's within your control. And so I'm still working with this client, but she did reach out to the other TV station. She is getting the data, and it was very enlightening for her. And I'm hoping at the end of the day that this is going to be a great story and a great experience for her. So let me move on. Why you should advertise, and advertising, if you're doing it incorrectly, does fail. And I have a great case study. And so many of you may know this case study. It was Oldsmobile at a time in their life, from 1985 through 1991, was losing market share and badly. And so they were very desperate and they went to their ad agency, Leo Burnett, and they said they needed some help. And so Leo Burnett came up with this very creative campaign, and it was called This Is Not Your Father's Oldsmobile. And so what they did was there's a lot of things that went wrong with this campaign, which really is hard to believe. But you know what? It's a great case study, and it's great. It's a great one to share, and a great one to learn from. But basically, what happened was the campaign "This Is Not Your Father's Oldsmobile" was targeted toward a younger generation, so that there are younger people feeding and buying and branding themselves to Oldsmobile. But what they did was they stuck with television. They did some print and radio, but TV was the primary focus. And when they placed their TV buy, they bought the same programs they bought from before. And so they didn't really change that, okay? And so it was really targeted to an older audience. And so when that campaign launched, what happened was the people that their core customer, their loyal audience saw This Is Not Your Father's Oldsmobile, and they were threatened by that. They were insulted. They said, "What? I'm not good enough for your Oldsmobile now?" And even though it didn't target the masses of the younger generation, the ones that did see it, the response from them was, "Well, I don't want to drive my father's Oldsmobile." So again, it goes advertising does work, but a lot of things have to go into it, and you really have to be strategic for it to be effective and to work. And I'll go into more details on how this works for you. So, advertising works. So, what are some of the key components to make all this mesh and come together so it is effective and does create the momentum that you do need? First of all, you got to know your budget. You need to know how to get to your budget, what your on investment is, which is ROI. You need to know these numbers and you need to know what it's going to take to get to these numbers. And so, if you don't have a budget, a good rule of thumb is 10%. If you do not have a marketing and advertising budget, a good starting point is 10%. If you do have one, and you want to increase your current or grow your market share or grow your business, then your marketing budget should grow by the percentage of the growth that you want to add. So that's how I would say to that, okay? Return on investment is everybody's different and everybody needs to identify your return on investment. But basically is I'll use a great example, okay? If you're spending $1,000, okay, how many products or services do you have to sell to get that 1,000 back? Okay? So if you're selling every month two product or service, whatever it is that you have, and that's your norm, okay? And let's say the $1,000 was one additional. So that just means that in order to get your return on investment, you would have to sell three every month now. And that's when advertising is working for you. That's when it's effective. The second bullet is know your target audience. Okay. So this is always misinterpreted. It's not who you want or prefer to be your target audience. That this is not what that's saying. It's who's your bread and butter. Who comes through your door every day, whether it's your virtual doors on the internet or your doors through the street or whatever, your office doors. But who is that person? Describe them, know them, understand who they are. And really understand their demographics and psychographics. So who is that target audience? The next bullet is choose the right medium platform to target your audience. So what is the best platform for that very specific audience? If it's a baby boomer, then what are the platforms that best hit the baby boomer? If it's families, what are the platforms? So you really need to understand your target audience in order to choose the right medium, in order to deliver that message to your audience. Okay. And the next one ties in very much so as well, is the message has to speak to your target audience. So unlike the Oldsmobile situation, when you identify who your audience is and then you identify the right platform to target that audience, the message in your whatever it is, newspaper, print, radio, whatever you choose it is, has to speak to that audience. So you cannot insult them. You've got to speak in their terms, in their language, so that they can identify and really absorb your message and really give you some credibility and have a mutual respect there. And then know and manage your expectations. This is great in regards to before you start any campaign. There should always be a dialogue about what are the expectations. What do you expect from this after it launches? What are your expectations on the return? So when I say manage, it means that stay on top of it, know how to manage the expectations and understand it. And then finally, be prepared to measure the results. I say this because this is super important because a lot of times clients launch a campaign and they don't tell anybody in the company, oh, there's a campaign that's about to launch, what the specials are, anything like that. And there's nothing really quite embarrassing than for a campaign to launch and people to come through the doors or call or what have you and ask for the product or service and nobody knows about it. So let everybody know what's going on. It should be verbalized. It should be, and a hot topic sent out to everyone. It doesn't matter if they're the janitor. Everybody should be on board and understand what's about to launch. So, managing expectations, your expectations. This is very important. First and foremost, have a dialogue. And when I say have a dialogue, is when you create that partnership with a media company, you need to have a very thorough and very strategic dialogue in regards to exactly what you want from this campaign. And it should be a dialogue because the media company should let you know then and there if it's possible or what they can guarantee, or it's not even a guarantee, but it's just being realistic about the expectation. Which is the second bullet is being realistic. And so when I say being realistic, I say this in regards to I've had companies that I said, okay, what are your expectations once we launch this? And they will say, well, I'll come in and I'll sell everything out. We'll open the doors and the floodgates and people will be lined up outside the door. And so I have to step back and, ask the question, well, what is your everyday traffic now? And so they'll answer and they'll say, well, we get about, you know, 10 to 15 people a day that come through the door. And then I have to bring them down a bit and say, okay, so what's really realistic here? Could we increase that by 5%, or maybe 10? So we negotiate on what is realistic because the floodgates and people rushing through the doors is not realistic. And so again, this is all part of having a dialogue and being realistic is know what is realistic and what's doable. And if you have ever done that before, because you can't expect people to tear down your door and come flooding and buy everything unless you're going out of business. And if you're going out of business, sure, expect that. Measurement tools, have measurement tools in place. And so when I say that, I say look at your website traffic before the campaign launch. No matter if you're doing web or not, when you advertise, when you do any form of advertising, people will somehow Google you or organically type you in, however it may be. But now you will get some traffic through your virtual doors, through your internet, just because it's easy for people to do that at the privacy of their home, their office, whenever. So just make sure that you have measurement tools. If you launched a radio or a TV campaign, have a schedule of that campaign at the receptionist desk so she can tick mark and tick times that people are calling and you can align it with the schedule that you put in place. So there are a lot of measurement tools that you can do on your own, asking people, how did you hear about us? But just know that that's not 100% reliable because people forget and they're going to say the last thing that they can remember. And so if they just walked by, they say, oh, I just walked by. Or if they just heard a radio song, they're going to say, oh, I heard it on the radio. So just know that it's not precision, but you're going to put some tools in place. And then finally, hold your media partner accountable. This is extremely important because your investment is huge. And so you have just as much in on it as they do when you talk about expectations. So please hold your media partners accountable. Make sure that they are following through and they're doing all the things that they promised to you. Okay, managing expectation and the media expectation. So, know what to expect from your media partner. So, again, this goes back to the dialogue. Know exactly, and you guys should both be on the same wavelength, the same terms, what your expectations are, and they should agree with it. And this all should be in writing and stone, and so that they can follow up with you. So make sure that it's honest and open, and you do have this dialogue with your media partner. So here are a few of the media steps these are things that I did as a sales manager in every market that I've worked at. It's by no account what every media company does, but I'm asking you to hold them accountable and make sure that they deliver this for you. So, in the first meeting is you. It's all about you. This is called the needs analysis. This is where they diagnose and find out all the things that worked well in your past for advertising, what didn't work, why it didn't work, why do you think it did work, how do you make media decisions. This is all about you and really diagnosing and digging and finding out, everything that they can find out about your marketing and advertising, and your culture and things like that. The second meeting is about research. Every media company has research that they can provide to you for free. They can bring you research on who is your best customer per what the market says. And now they can profile your best customer. And that way you can see, am I missing out on, the people that want to buy my business? Okay, because your customer, when you define who your customer is and what the market says is your best customer, it could be two totally different people. And if it is, you're missing an opportunity, and that you should be really capture that marketplace. And then the third meeting is recommendation. So that should be everything from the first two meetings combined and really delivering a campaign that is really tailored to deliver the results that you need for the investment they're willing to make. And it's not, in stone. These meetings don't have to be in three different meetings. Preferably, it's in two. The first meeting always has to happen. Please don't ever move forward with the media company if they're not diagnosing you first to deliver a recommendation. So the next bullet is during the campaign, there should always be ongoing dialogue. That should always be the expectation. They should check in with you. They should ask you, how's it going? What's going on? There should always be this ongoing dialogue, because if there is an opportunity to change what's currently going, now's the time to do it. And so that dialogue should happen. It should never be you talk to them in the beginning and then at the end of the campaign they talk to you and say, hey, how did it go? And then expect you to continue your partnership. It should be ongoing. This is a relationship. This is a partnership. And then finally, at the end of the campaign, they should always recap the results they promised to you, hold them accountable. So talk about the expectation, talk about what was delivered, talk about what was promised. This should always happen no matter what. You should always get a proof of performance. A lot of times when I have clients, I would recap every month so that this business knows what was going on every month. And if there were changes to be made, we could have done it proactively before. And so, again, the ongoing dialogue, and this shouldn't just come out of the blue. You had the first meeting, you had the last, and then they did a recap. So, hold your media companies and partners accountable, please. So, a recap. So how do we end this? Okay, again, advertising does work. You have to be very strategic today. There's so many options available to you out there. You don't have to spend big money. You don't have to do big mainstream in order to be advertising or for it to be effective. What it has to be is it has to be the right fit for your business and your expectations. And finally, manage your expectations and hold your partners accountable. Like I said, this is your big investment. So just as much as you have a big and an investment here, they also do too by the expectations and what they're offering to deliver as goods for you. And I always like to end this with, Warren Buffett said, if you're in business and you want to stay in business, you should be advertising. You should always be getting new business through the door. Um, and so, what is Advertise Recap? So, the services that we provide, once again, just to let you guys know, we are here for you. We are here to show you all the advertising options that are available to you in your marketplace. Um, you have options, please know that. There are so many out there that you should know what is available to you. And that's what my platform creates. It creates an environment where you can log on, you can see all the advertising options that are available to you, compare them apples to apples. You don't even have to buy anything. You can use it as a planning tool to know what it costs, to know what's available there for you. Um, at the end of the day, I want every small to mid-sized business to take control of their own advertising. It is a buyer's market out there. They should know what is available to them so that they can make smart business decisions. And again, my platform was created to be pressure free, not biased at all, and to have a safe buying atmosphere so that you could do this at the comfort of your home. You could do it in your office. You could do it whenever you wanted. And if you ever needed help, there's free consultation. There's a toll free number. You can talk to anybody at any time. When you create an account with Advertise, there are some mechanics on the back end that you ask 4 questions from you, and the same 4 questions are asked of the media company so that it matches you and offers you recommendations. So this platform was created as a tool, as a resource to help educate you and empower you. At the end of the day, I'm an advocate for the small business owner. I like to think of myself as the Robin Hood of advertising. I will go out there and I will find the advertising for you. If it's not on my platform, I will go find it. I will search for it. I'll dig for it and I'll put it on my platform. I want every small to mid-sized business to be empowered and to understand and know advertising. But of course, first and foremost, if you're in business, you got to be advertising. And advertising, again, does work. It just has to be the right fit. So finally, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. There is an 800 number. It's on my website, or you can email me or Twitter me. We do follow up. We make sure that we respond to you within 48 hours. But we'd love to hear from you. If you have any other questions, again, my direct information. And again, I'm Catherine Ramirez with Advertise. I appreciate you listening to this webinar. Any feedback that you can provide back to me would be fantastic. Hope to provide some more webinars to help educate small to mid-sized business owners on what's available to them and how to manage and control their advertising and grow, essentially. Thank you again, and I hope you guys have a great day.